swooning for some jazz.
Let Nothemba Madumo serve you up some jazz and beyond
On 702 and CapeTalk.
Jazz and Beyond on 702 and CapeTalk, where you come for the jazz, you stay for a good time with me, Nothemba. And I love this feature where we get to talk to some of the great South African jazz musicians, and especially when we have a little more time to just explore and expand on some of the things that we normally don't have time for because the music takes the lead, kind of thing. So I'm so proud and happy and honored with my guest today, who's not only a jazz scholar, he's a brilliant pianist and a singer. He's also, what do they call them? An amazing, because he wears a lot of hats. There's the composing part, there's the arranging part, there's also the educator part. He's a student and an educator at the same time. And there's only one person who fits this category, Grease, is Yonela Mnana. Molo Yonela.
Molo, sis Nothemba.
Dikona, thank you for coming and welcome to Jazz and Beyond.
Well,
you just reminded me that I'm actually talking to you for the second time on this show.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to you so many times I even forget where it was.
Yeah, the constant bumping into
you
each
know
other.
what I mean, which is amazing. And I'm so happy that we're going to be talking about your latest project, which is Echoes of Marabi.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure as to if you think that maybe Echoes of Marabi is taking you somewhere else where your music career is, or it's you just exploring a different side of yourself, with this project, because we know you as that album called Baba, which was back in 2016.
Yes.
Between then and now, nje, what has been happening to Yonela Goqala nje?
Yeah, I mean, everything was happening. All those things that you are describing me with.
You being a student, you being a teacher, you being and collaborating with other musicians.
And also time was deciding. So time has decided. I had finished eventually my master's that time. I think around 2018, 2019, I forgot. And then somehow I started to do my PhD, but stopped somehow because of the COVID, and was continuing to teach. Oh yes, I think also I did some work also with Sisonke Conti, great tenor player on his project to Gaba, and I think all the myriad of other things. But of course, I've been playing also, doing other concepts. I mean, there's this constant gig that we do with trumpeter Marcus Wyatt at the jam sessions.
The Wednesday ones.
Yes, the Wednesday one. No, yeah. That's kind of like the Virgin Active of the jazz in a way.
Ne?
Yeah, and then, he had the other project out of Jazz on the Hill, and then Out of Nowhere. So there've been a number of things that I did with. Of course, I've been playing also with Braheves on his many other projects. Oh yeah, there's an EP that he did that I was on. I had also shared a piano chair with Yonela Mnana as well in the at this point in time. So it's just kind of been a constant juggling, which I think is actually the essence of jazz in itself.
True.
So
and
life has been jazzy.
And I imagine that you're as a musician, artist, and pianist as well. You're happier when you are expressing your art.
No, I mean, that's the only time I become alive. That's why it was very confusing when they explained all the essential services during COVID, that some of our services are not quite essential. It means that we were supposed to die generally, without them allowing us to play.
And with many artists expressing the depression and the loneliness during that time, because they were not, and in the meantime they've closed shop for everybody, but guess what, they want us to, and our only solace is to listen and to music, watch movies, read books, which is the only way in which art should be accessible, because that's what eases the pain, and
Yeah, hence the idea of the echoes of Marabi. I mean, just looking at those people that were living during that time, we can study how we can even appreciate that they managed through music to survive in spite of all that kind of suppression, and we're going through the same thing. So we are the echoes of them in that way.
So let's then talk about how the echoes of Marabi, because the automatic interpretation is that you are reinterpreting the historic Marabi style, maybe just reintroducing it to modern audiences, while maybe at the same time honoring the roots of Marabi. Just from the title, one would imagine that's what you're doing. Correct me. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I mean, echoes can go anywhere, really. But I'm thinking about the Ngoni word. Josie is known as Gwandonga Ziyaduma.
Hey, and Ziyaduma.
And so those, for me, those are the echoes. I think it would be very Western, really, to take those songs and redo them. I think art is not really for museumizing. We don't have to regurgitate. I think that should be left for maybe for scholars and other things. I think I find that I use Marabi as an inspiration. I don't use it as a source for just taking and mimicking. I think it would be false. In the same way that, for example, we are descendants of our grandmothers and grandfathers without even feeling the need to imitate them. Just by being like this, we are their echoes in that way. And so I find Marabi inspiring in the sense that it's harder to talk about a music that is done synthetically. I mean, we know now recently everybody is trying to re-identify themselves with their nationalities or languages. Say, for example, Wamxhosa, or this thing with Princess Makoko, all that stuff. There is a serious effort in unearthing our identity in that way. I think the harder task is tapping into those lives that were lived in the urban situations. Nobody, it's harder to talk about the music that was done in Mamelodi, or the music that was done in Sophiatown, because there is no easy access to that stuff. It's not been recorded. It's very, very few has been recorded. So we have to just imagine it from just grabbing on the only existing echoes that are there. I find that I have got more affinity with the music that was done in the township, because I'm that's what I know.
Yeah.
But it's harder. So I'm saying we can only just grab onto the stories and appreciate them, because the stories are they are the echoes of what has been. We can see from their struggle, that they just are like us, and they made so much from so less.
Yes.
And that's the echoes. The echoes, they are just reverberating without not necessarily being the original sound. So for me, it's inspiring in that way. So I looked at Marabi and I was like, we are actually the beneficiaries of and we can learn and be inspired by those people that time.
What made you think of going the Marabi route? Or was there a special incident or an occasion, or what was that aha moment that came to you that said, you know what, let me revisit this period?
I can always credit when I started studying with Dr. Olindelo Talamba, I actually realized that, wow, as students, we're always wanting to learn. We always want to learn from influences from abroad. And I realized we've got such a big wealth here. And I think as far as South African piano is concerned, Marabi piano is the only original thing that we've got here. And this led me to try and situate the pianists. Why is Marabi piano so important? And what does it mean in the bigger scheme of things? And I could understand that it was developed by those pianists. Even those pianists were not trained in a Western way, which left them that original. But those pianists were more than musicians. They were the entertainers. They were the ones that were close to the Shebeen Queen. So they were the hosts in that way, and which tells you something about what would happen when people are away from their industries, from their minds, coming back to by a Marabini, to have fun. And remember, even it was prohibited for black people to have liquor. So the Shebeen Queens, came in the gap.
Yeah.
So they created all the fun. So for me, that talks about how black people tried to be self-sufficient in a world where they were not really expected to be self-sufficient. So that, for me, it's a much more nuanced story than talking about what does it mean to be, say, an original, say, Sepedi speaker, to try and re-indigenize ourselves. I think that really is not the important part. The important part is also tapping into situations that we know we can identify with. I mean, I grew up in Mamelodi. I am teaching in Katlehong. I really can assimilate with those people. And by looking back, I can see ourselves in the past, and I can see them in the present and in the future.
Yeah, I like the way you're exploring the history and the politics of the Marabi time, and reinterpreting it, your way. I mean, the piano sound of Marabi of back then was repetitive harmonies, right? And which people could dance to. How have you then reimagined it in this album?
Well, it's so strange because, I think all music really is repetitive harmony. If you tap into Western music, it's repetitive. I think, in fact, by defining it
Pop
as
music,
repetitive, there is somehow a hidden attempt to denigrate what the genre is. Why would we redefine it in terms of just the harmony? I think there's something beyond that. How do you expect people to dance and have fun when they know that in the next week they have to go back to the same drudgery? So I think Marabi, when it happens, that kind of playing, it becomes more of a medication. It's more of a therapy. And I think when we define it from a Western perspective as a repetitive harmony, we're misunderstanding, we're misguiding ourselves, and we're limiting it to this common Western terms of thinking about music. I think we actually are poorer because we don't know how it felt that time.
Yeah.
To thingy. So yes, and really what we're doing mostly even as jazz musicians is to take the harmony that has always been there and to use it to say something about it, in the same way that I'm communicating with you in English, but the meaning is particularly unique and only true to me. So this is what we're going to, so that tells us, again, it's another survival notion that the Marabi people are doing. So which says maybe there's still much more to be studied in this music. And I mean, what it is actually worse is that because there's been less recordings, somehow the absence of those recordings is an intentional muting of our history. And so when we talk about these echoes, we are saying there is a possibility to find ourselves, even if we have been intentionally been silenced.
Wow. You use the piano, you use the saxophone, and you've got these amazing ladies with their voices, which of course, I mean, the voice is the first instrument, or should I say, maybe the only instrument that's real. Yeah. And your decision, though, to just have the piano and the saxophone and these amazing. And first of all, who are these ladies? Where did you find them? They are fantastic.
Yes. These ladies, there is three of them. They call themselves the Salty Sisters. They hail from Katlehong, where I teach. So I've known them because they were students. And they're excellent in the sense that they've been chorally trained first from a Western perspective. So somehow, and then I was like, the best way that I can teach them is to teach them what I know. And it's been such an interesting transition for, seeing them move from that kind of Western pedagogy to this African thing. So there is Kuku Kupega, who sings the tenor, and there's Happiness Yoko, who sings the soprano, and there's Ubusisiwe Shongwe, who actually is doing the alto. And even as I'm saying these parts, I think maybe I need to find another way of titling them, because that's Marabi, their Marabi way, Also, I feel that there have been those female groups that have been doing this music like that. I mean, the Skylarks.
Yes.
Even up to Mawatela Queens, the Dark City Sisters.
True.
So I feel somehow in having this kind of formation, they are also re-echoing their genealogy in that way. So that's another way of echoing Marabi. Also, I mean, of course, it's a point of empowerment, not to have them just as vocalists, but as the integral part of the band, And I think I've been fortunate enough to get the chance to work with them and get to hear. There are certain things that are musical that they are doing that I can't really explain. So I think I'm blessed in that way. So they are also echoing their own, existence in that way.
Space, yeah.
So I'm very lucky.
How though do you? And of course, there's also your voice that's added on.
There is my voice,
the vocals as well.
And then there is all the different kinds of instrumentations that Benedict Rising was doing. Because when I pitched this idea also to him, to say that perhaps we can explore different roles of what a saxophonist can do. We don't always have to be leaders. Maybe, he's using the clarinet, baritone clarinet, to do the bass parts, and we're redefining the presence or absence of the bass and of the drums.
You're right, because he's not there blurring the saxophone. He's like there as part of the voices,
And the voices are part of everything.
You
and
know,
then, so,
because
yeah.
I hear the bass, and you'd think there's a bass voice, but it's that saxophone. You know what I mean?
So again, I mean, these new formations with the trios and the drums and whatever, we don't know what kind of formations were there during the Marabi era, but we're saying perhaps we can reimagine, we can recreate an alternative way of having a group configuration which can subvert what what is known to be what is needed. Because remember, even those great artists that came with the small formations, I think they would be, quite appreciative of how improvisatory we are, not just in terms of the music, but in terms of how we arrange ourselves. And also that leads the way to other people that want to create differently, so they can change also different kinds of formations as well.
Yeah, so you're basically just opening the door into other ways of thinking and other ways of expressing, the music.
Yeah.
The arrangements are also absolutely fantastic. I'm thinking of these songs that you have, Unabantu, Nomxolele. Oasis is amazing.
Yes, it's really amazing.
But you didn't think of radio when you did that, because it's like 19 minutes long, and I'm thinking,
that's another subversion too.
Yeah.
That I've known so many artists that have been composed for radio who never actually got the airplay. So that is a limitation also to think about it like that.
No, I'm being very selfish here. I'm thinking about myself here.
I'm just saying, perhaps maybe,
but the song is fantastic. Because of the different movement it goes through and takes you through so many emotions.
Other classical, I used to listen to a lot of classical radio, and they have found a way of introducing whole works in specific kinds of programs. I'm just saying, perhaps it also challenges, us as presenters to think about other ways of presenting fuller works without having to be forced to try and be generic. It's like a difference between short stories and novels.
True.
And I think it would give us a chance, perhaps maybe, I'm sure maybe you could select 1 week and say, today we're just profiling this work.
Yeah.
It can also, maybe because of Marabi, can inspire us to think about what do we do with all these other works that cannot fill in the 4-minute window.
Yes.
So you see that creativity spills over into other things as well. So I like it. I think also the Oasis, I must give also a big shout out to Brandile, because I told him, like, I'm gonna work on this, because I learned so much from him. I used to go to his house and he would say, on the other side, time he would say, because he would realize, I like to sing. He says, yeah. Man, it's nice when you play and sing, because there's a way that you think about it. And I went to think about it to say, maybe it's true. Because in the past, you'd have the pressure of just wanting to think about yourself as a pianist or as a singer. So I think even as you introduce me, I'm learning that perhaps I'm much more of a composite, organic musician in that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And let's talk about Taro Seskatele Katlehong blues, obviously. As you say, you hang out in Katlehong a lot, so
yes.
So
and you see all kinds of blueses go down, There's the taxi rank. I mean, I think where I teach at Iswillen is like, there's a universal church, there's a liquor shop, and then there's a hospital, and then there's a something like a supermarket. It's Kona Zonke lapha at the same time, and there's a school. I mean, it's such a heavy blues in that way, and already there's people from Mozambique selling there, and people are passing by to go to work. Someone came to fix the pavements, but they never close them. There's so much things that can leave you feeling bluesy. Next thing, the electricity just cuts out when you've just put your pap on the fire,
Yo.
So those things have, I wanted to celebrate them in the blues. But tarot, for me, has been a jam because the kids that we tend to teach, they come from really far. And I've been asking myself, why would they be coming to our school every day when the sun is this hot and when there's so much hunger? So I realized maybe when they use that tarot road to come to us, there is already an anticipation with happiness,
Yeah.
So
at
that
the end of
mood
the
is
at the end of the road.
and
kind of thing.
that teaches us something that perhaps we don't just find happiness from what we've got. We can find happiness in anticipation, even if the goal is achievable in 200 years. And that's for me the spirit of the Marabi people.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't have anything, no one respected them, but they could still be happy with whatever that they had. Also even if they knew they had to go back to the same drudgery again.
Yonela, when none of these songs sound the same.
Yeah.
Every song is different.
Yeah.
And I was thinking how you decided on how you're going to make the arrangements, especially, also, arranging the voices and because sometimes they come like 3-4 minutes into the song. You know what I mean? As you
No,
yes.
Again. I mean, I've been with these ladies for about 9 years. Next year we're making 10 years. So actually, we could have done, many songs. But I just thought, let's deal with the echoes first.
And only six echoes.
No,
six songs.
Actually, there's 6 songs, but many echoes in each of them.
Okay, I hear you.
And also I'm thinking, much more primarily, more especially with Unabantu. I had to celebrate my gran who passed at the age of 95.
Wow, live long.
Makulu was, he had loved, he started in Labislala Corner. There's a Methodist church. Yes, we're sealed.
Yes.
The Methodist church is really, so you'd hear the bell, you just walk down the street and go up the stairs. And I used to also go and ask to play the organ there, So my grand would always love to sing this song, Unabantu, but in a hymnal way. And I was like, the best way for me to celebrate her part, her life, and her strength would be to be creative about, the echo of those songs that she liked. Again,
and of
for
course,
me,
she comes from that era as well, periodically.
Just before the Cradle of 4. So Marabi for me is also a personal act. I can't think about. We have a tendency of thinking about history in the same way that the people that don't want us talk about us. We must think about Marabi as a personal thing. Marabu koko wako, Marabu antu wako, than thinking about fictitious, imaginary people that we see in cravats and whatever. So for me, my gran is my best avenue, my best window to look into the past.
But that's a beautiful way of, and actually inspiring way of us looking at our identity as well, of having that and recognizing that foundation of where we come from, which is not only in people, but it's in our in the culture and what they experienced back then. That talks to. It's also, our it's our ancestry.
That's our ancestry. We are the echoes of our ancestry. And for me, just to tie in my gran and then the legacy of Miriam and the girls says something. My gran was one of the first women to buy a house for themselves. And she was very proud. I think when they lifted they lifted the rules for professional women to start buying in the 50s. And she was one of the first. And she would always tell that she bought this house with 13 pounds and whatever. So I think it's also a story of survival, a story of progress, a story obviously of endurance.
Yeah.
And I mean, we can't be any. We are them in this way.
And you're true.
And as we are, it means our echoes will be the future, our future kids.
So it's just such an awesome, beautiful, and inspiring way of looking at it. How would you, as we close, like listeners of this album to be affected, or to feel, or to think about this music?
I think music is personal. Music is like it's like food. You can even market and tell them that. I always do these gigs where chefs have to present food, and they try and tell us this one was cooked for 24 hours. This one is the fish that it was. I think music is personal.
Yeah,
they must just listen and take what they can take for it. Music is a public commodity, but it's also a personal thing. I don't want them to have any prejudices, but I know because this music touched me, I'm sure it's going to touch them.
And it is beautiful music. Yeah. And just talking about, how music is personal and talking about the senses. I'm also just curious about, like you were talking about a chef saying, hey, this meal is whatever.
Yeah.
When you can't see, and I'm imagining that your other senses are so hyper heightened that you can't see me, but you can feel me if I'm smiling, or I've got some funny expression. There's those vibrations. I mean, I think some months ago, when I WhatsApped you something, and then you sent me a voice note. You said, "Nothemba, I don't know. You're sending me these pictures.
It's a picture.
You send me. What am I supposed to do with this picture?" I'm like, I felt so bad, and then I explained to you what it was an invitation for.
I see. Yeah, well, I mean, one day we must sit down and talk about, vantage points.
Yeah.
The seeing world always talks about the world from their perspective, so that is their truth.
Yeah.
For example, it because it's not understandable that they can imagine themselves not seeing. There's always something mysterious that they hope it might be happening. It might be, it's possible, but I don't know. I have to first see to compare whether what I'm feeling now is going to be different. So the true answer is that I really don't know, but I am aware of maybe a mythical way of thinking about the other, But I mean, I also have been surprised because I realize also there's a lot of people that can see, that can hear much more better than me. So I think it actually doesn't really bother me because I can't solve that problem. That's not really my problem.
Sure.
It's like, for example, when you are in a place where people talk about miles than kilometers, they don't understand how you can understand what 2 miles mean. So I've stopped wanting to understand the world through seeing eyes and the seeing language, because that's not my issue. But I think because they have to pose these questions, and I love them, so I have to find another way of making us understand. I'm sure maybe there is something about the heightened senses, but I can't know because I don't have a comparative way of saying, hey, maybe let me try and see tomorrow, and then I can tell you it could be an objective study.
But I think also it gives you so much more of an advantage in terms of there's so much more for you to imagine.
Yeah, I mean, people say that also about people that that cannot hear, people that they say no, at least they can, maybe they understand more vibrations. Of course, there is the politics of not having certain things can make you manage to make more out of less. Like I'm saying with the Marabi people, that to not have something, it can be empowering in that way because you can maximize from what you've got. I mean, you can see everything in this space, but perhaps I have a way of understanding the space without touching any of the things that you can see. So and that is my truth. So I've come to get to respect that kind of privilege as well.
Sure.
And to also to understand that, I mean, you know, I've got music is such a physical thing as well, you know. You know, if I have to go, if it's a show, I have to know where the stage is, where is the piano.
Yeah.
And it's so funny how, I mean, how can I navigate the piano if I can't even navigate a simple venue? You know?
And that if there are stairs going up the stage, you know, and
I mean,
things
it's those are other practical things. I think I wanted to also say that one of the one way that made me choose this configuration is that all of these people that I'm playing with are my friends too. So, and I mean, that's another challenge where I don't get to.
And they're conscious of
yes, I think we meet each other halfway
okay.
in the sense that we have to travel. I mean, we just came back from the European tour
Fantastic.
of promoting this thing in Switzerland.
How did that go?
Well, it was a tour. A tour is the stage, the performances are beautiful, they're different. There's a lot of driving, there's a lot of, you know, sleeping, getting up, getting things over time. And we get to know each other better.
Lovely.
We went to Switzerland, we went to Italy, we went to Milan, actually. We crossed over through back also to go to the Bird's Eye, which of course is part of, I mean, for me, it was like touching another echo again.
Yes.
Because that's where most of our people, I mean, Abdullah Ibrahim, all of them, Makaya Joko, Pralui Moholo, the brother, you know, the Brotherhood of Breath, everybody. And to appreciate that in the funny happenings of strained foreign relations, there is still that pathway that remains open for musical exchange between us and the Swiss. I mean, people like Fight Art and the Bird's Eye in Basel, it's still keeping that flow of musical exchange
and
alive.
many of our current musicians have had
going
that collaboration.
I think.
Are you performing anywhere here at home now that you are back from overseas?
And which is funny because even this place is over the sea too. But there are a couple of performances. We have Black Lavone this next week, which is on the, what is it? I think it's the 11th. But it's Black Lavone. Lavone is a Thursday, so whenever Thursday is. And then we have to go to the Chairman in Durban on Saturday.
Yeah.
I think that's obviously mostly late. And then we're going to Cape Town on Sunday, which I think is the 14th.
Yeah.
And I think for other details, really it would be very great if people can just watch the pages. They'll be posting pictures like you do. The posters will have those kinds of details and the cricket links and all that.
Yes.
But I think what would be fantastic is that we actually printed out we've got CDs and then we've got also vinyls.
Wow.
So I think, you know, people can also get I like what Mandla always says. He says, you can also live us and you can keep us in your homes and in your hearts.
And that
by
is
buying
true.
these projects.
That is true.
Which is amazing. Also, shout out to Madam Langeni because he brought us, me and Benedict, together. So again, another person that celebrates the echoes, of the black
Fantastic. This is an amazing project. Congratulations.
No, thanks.
And
thanks
all
a
the
lot.
best with you and the band and these ladies who are amazing.
It's going to be wonderful.
And I'm hoping that our listeners here will certainly invest in this project because
yes, I mean, music, like you're saying, it's like food.
Yeah.
So they shouldn't just listen and enjoy it. They must listen and share. Because we are a communal people.
We are.
Yeah.
Thank you again for coming through to Jazz and Beyond.
Thanks a lot.
Always a pleasure talking to you.
Sure.
Come for the jazz and stay for the good times.
On Jazz and Beyond with Nothemba Madumo.
On 702 and Cape Talk.